The galaxy was calm. For many years, humans lived in peace. They built great cities. They traded with their neighbors. They worked hard to grow stronger, but never to harm anyone. Humans wanted only one thing: peaceful lives for their children. But peace never lasts forever. One cold night, without warning, the sky above the border worlds turned black. A shadow moved across the stars. Then, the first alien fleet appeared. It was massive. Hundreds of ships. Giant war machines. Their hulls glowed with alien fire. Their engines burned like suns. They came without words. Without demands. Without mercy. The attack began. On the human colony of Verdun, families sat at dinner tables. Children laughed, running through the streets. Then the sky exploded. The first alien blasts tore through the colony's defenses. Towers fell. Homes burned. Screams filled the night. Within hours, Verdun was gone. The aliens were proud of their victory. They sent messages across the stars. Humans are weak. Their colonies are soft. Their defenses are nothing before us. And they were not done. They struck again. Another colony. Another city. Everywhere the same: fire, death, silence. The humans did not respond. The galaxy watched in confusion. Why do the Terrans not fight back? The alien leaders asked. Why are they so quiet? The aliens laughed. They believed humans were afraid. They thought humans had no strength. They thought Earth was nothing but an old, dying world. But they were wrong. Deep inside, the humans were watching. Every loss. Every life taken. Every fire lit in the night sky, humans remembered them all. They did not cry out. They did not beg. They did not strike back, not yet. For humans have always been patient. They learn. They wait. They prepare. And what the aliens did not know was this. Humans never start wars. But when a war is forced upon them, they do not stop until it ends. The alien commanders did not fear. They believed the Terran silence was weakness. They marched deeper, taking more colonies. They called it conquest. But in truth, it was only the beginning of their greatest mistake. One alien captain, bold and arrogant, made a speech after the fall of a human city. He said, "The Terrans are like children. They hide and cry. They cannot fight us. Soon, Earth itself will burn." His words were carried across the stars. His people cheered. But somewhere far away, in the dark command rooms of Earth, humans listened. They said nothing. They simply marked his name. And they waited. The galaxy did not understand. Other alien nations whispered in their halls. Some said, "Perhaps the humans are truly weak. Perhaps they will vanish." Others said, "No. Do not trust the silence of Earth. They are not like us. They are different." But still, the humans remained quiet. Children were buried. Cities were lost. Colonies burned. And still, no answer. Until one day, one small signal was sent from Earth. It was not a cry for peace. It was not a plea for mercy. It was a warning. The signal said only this: "You started this war. We will finish it." The galaxy trembled. News of the attacks spread everywhere. World after world had fallen to the alien empire. The humans remained silent, and this silence frightened many. The Galactic Council was called into session. It was the largest gathering of leaders from across the stars. Dozens of species filled the great hall, creatures with scales, feathers, and glowing eyes. Their voices echoed across the chamber. They came to discuss one thing: the fate of humanity. At the center of the hall, a giant hologram showed the map of human space. Red marks glowed where the aliens had already attacked. Colonies gone. Millions dead. And still no Terran fleet had appeared. The first council member stood. He was tall, armored, his voice sharp. He said, "Humans are finished. They will not fight. The Empire will crush them completely." Many agreed. They nodded, saying, "Yes, the Terrans are weak. They never belonged in the galaxy. They should be erased." But not all believed this. An older alien, with silver skin and tired eyes, spoke carefully. You laugh now, he said, but you do not understand them. Humans do not cry out when they are wounded. They wait. They endure. And then, they strike. The chamber erupted with noise. Some shouted at him. Lies. Humans are nothing. They are finished. The council was breaking into chaos. Then, from the shadows, a single figure rose. A human diplomat. He had been silent the whole time, sitting at the far end of the hall. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. The hall grew quiet as he walked forward. Every step echoed. Every alien eye turned to him. He spoke in a steady voice. You think we are weak because we are silent. You think we are finished because we have not struck back. You think peace is weakness. But you are wrong. The aliens sneered. One shouted. If you are not weak, then why are your colonies burning? Why do your people scream? The human did not flinch. He answered simply. We bury our dead. We remember their names. And then, we prepare. A chill spread through the chamber. The human's voice grew sharper. You laugh at our silence. But silence is not fear, it is patience. You believe the war is already won. But the truth is this, the war has not even started yet. The aliens murmured, their voices uneasy. Some looked at each other in doubt. The Empire's representatives only laughed louder. One leaned forward and said, prepare all you want. It will not matter. When our armada reaches Earth, there will be nothing left to save. The human turned his head slowly and stared at him. His eyes were cold, like stone. He spoke 6 words that made the entire hall silent. Then Earth will be your grave. The chamber froze. Not a sound was heard. The human said nothing more. He turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing into the distance. The council erupted once again. Some shouted, he threatens us. Others whispered, perhaps he speaks the truth. The alien empires laughed at the warning. They believed the Terrans had no chance. But in secret, fear began to grow. Because deep down, they remembered old stories. Stories of ancient wars. Stories of times when humans had been pushed too far. And in those stories, the ending was always the same. The humans never stopped until the enemy was gone. The council broke apart in chaos. No agreement was made. No warning was sent. The galaxy returned to its games of politics. And the Empire's fleets kept moving forward, burning everything in their path. But far away, on Earth, the silence was finally ending. The humans were preparing. And soon, the galaxy would understand the meaning of those words. Humans never begin wars. But we always end them. The galaxy waited. Weeks passed after the council meeting. Alien empires sent scouts, watching Terran space closely. They expected to see fleets rising, armies gathering, weapons shining in the dark. But they saw nothing. The human colonies kept falling. One by one, flames consumed them. Entire planets went silent. And still Earth said nothing. This silence was louder than any threat. It spread unease across the stars. Some aliens laughed and said, look at them. They are broken. They have no courage left. But others whispered in fear. No, this is not surrender. This is waiting. Something is coming. The Empire, proud and arrogant, refused to believe. They pushed deeper. Their ships moved like storms through Terran space, burning all in their path. They broadcast their victories across the galaxy, showing human cities in ruins. Their leaders spoke with pride. Earth is nothing. Soon it will fall. Soon the Terrans will be slaves. But inside the darkness of Earth, something else was happening. Far below the cities, in hidden command centers, human leaders gathered. Their faces were cold, their voices quiet. Maps of the stars glowed before them. Every colony lost was marked. Every alien commander was tracked. One general said, they think we are weak. Let them think it. The longer they believe, the harder our strike will fall. Another said, we do not fight for conquest. We do not fight for power. We fight for every child burned in their cities. We fight for every family torn apart. We fight to end this war. Their eyes burned with a fire the aliens could never understand. And then it happened. The silence broke. Across the galaxy, every alien channel flickered. Screens turned black. Radios hissed with static. Every empire, every ship, every home suddenly received the same message. At first, it was only a voice. A human voice. Calm. Cold. Without fear. You started this war. The galaxy froze. Every alien leaned forward, listening. The voice continued. We warned you. We asked for peace. You answered with fire. You burned our homes. You killed our children. The voice grew harder. You thought we were weak. You thought we would break. But you were wrong. The signal expanded, now showing an image. A human general, standing tall in his black uniform. His face was scarred. His eyes burned with steel. Behind him, the shadow of a Terran warship loomed. He spoke again. We do not start wars. But when war is forced upon us, we finish it. The galaxy shook. In the alien halls, leaders gasped. In the Empire's command rooms, officers shouted in anger. But beneath their rage, fear crawled into their hearts. Because as the general spoke, something appeared on the screens. Shapes. Shadows. Moving behind him. Terran warships. Hundreds of them. Dark. Silent. Waiting. And then the transmission ended. The screens went black. The silence returned. But now, it was different. This was not the silence of weakness. It was the silence before a storm. The Empire's admirals mocked the signal. One slammed his fist and said, "Empty threats. Their fleet is small. We will crush them before they even launch." But his voice shook as he said it. Because he had seen those shadows. And deep inside, he knew the truth. The Terrans had finally answered. And the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy could not forget the signal. The human general's words still echoed in every hall, every ship, every world. We do not start wars. But we finish them. 4 days, nothing followed. The Empire laughed, calling it empty bravado. But whispers spread across other empires, terrible whispers. What if it is true? What if the Terrans are not weak? The fear grew stronger when scouts near Earth vanished. Entire fleets sent to spy on Terran space never returned. No wreckage. No signal. Nothing. Only silence. The Empire claimed it was cowardice. They hide, the commanders boasted. They will fall soon. But the truth was far darker. The Terrans were not hiding. They were gathering. Deep within the black void, where no alien dared to travel, colossal hangars opened. For centuries, Earth had been silent but not idle. While the galaxy mocked them, the Terrans built. Not hundreds of ships, thousands. And these were not like the shining vessels of the Empire. No banners. No decoration. The Terran ships were sharp, black, and merciless. They were made for one purpose, to end wars. The first wave rose from the shadows. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, massive machines of steel and fire. Their engines glowed red, like burning coals in the darkness. One by one, they formed lines. Tight. Precise. Perfect. There was no chaos in their movement. No boasting. No arrogance. The human fleet moved like a single blade being drawn from its sheath. At the center, the flagship appeared. It was vast, larger than anything the galaxy had seen. Its hull was dark, almost invisible against space, except for the faint red glow of its weapons. The ship's name burned across its side in Terran letters. The aliens who later saw it whispered one word for the rest of their lives. Judgment. In the hidden command chambers, human generals stood in silence. They gave no speeches, no cheers. Only orders. A voice crackled through the fleet. Phase 1. Engage. And the Terran armada began to move. Across the galaxy, alarms blazed. Alien scouts screamed into their radios as the dark ships poured into the stars. Some transmitted images before they vanished, rows upon rows of Terran warships, endless, unstoppable. The galaxy had never seen such discipline. Not a single ship broke formation. Not a single pilot spoke out of turn. They moved as if they were one mind, one will. The Empire at first refused to believe. Their admirals laughed. Tricks, they said. Fake images. They cannot have built such a force. But the laughter died when the first Empire fleet encountered them. It was meant to be an easy victory. 500 alien warships, proud and strong, met a smaller Terran strike group. The Empire expected a short battle. Instead, it was a massacre. The Terran ships did not hesitate. They did not speak. They attacked with precision so brutal it shocked the galaxy. In less than an hour, the Empire fleet was gone. The survivors described it in whispers. They move like hunters. They strike once, and you are finished. They do not waste fire. They do not miss. They do not stop. The galaxy trembled. All those who mocked the Terrans began to fall silent. And in the Empire's capital, the leaders demanded answers. Who are these humans? How did they build such power? Why did we not see it? The answer was simple. While the galaxy looked away, humans had been preparing. While others mocked, they endured. While empires rose and fell, Earth remembered every wound. And now, the Armada had risen. Not for conquest. Not for glory. For justice. The human general sent one final message before the great counterstrike began. You wanted war. Now you will have it. And we will not stop until it ends. The galaxy had seen wars before. Empires had clashed. Borders had shifted. Battles had raged across the stars. But no one had ever seen a counterstrike like this. The Terran Armada was no longer hiding. It moved as one, thousands of black warships gliding through space like shadows. Every engine burned red. Every weapon was primed. Their silence was louder than any battle cry. The first target was chosen carefully. A fortress world of the Empire. It was surrounded by defense platforms, shield networks, and a fleet of 600 ships. It was said to be unbreakable. The aliens stationed there were confident. They had heard of the Terran fleet, but they laughed at the stories. Exaggerations, they said. Lies meant to frighten children. Then the Terrans arrived. The night sky above the fortress world darkened as the human ships appeared from hyperspace. Not one or two, not even 100. Thousands. The alien commanders panicked. Form defenses. Fire at will. The sky lit up with blasts. The fortress world shook as its cannons fired into the Black Fleet. For a moment, it seemed the humans would falter under the storm. But the Armada did not break. They advanced. Slow. Steady. Relentless. Then the humans returned fire. It was not chaotic. It was not wild. It was precise. Each Terran shot tore through shields as if they were paper. Every strike found its target. Alien ships exploded in silence, one after another, like candles being snuffed out. Within minutes, half the defending fleet was gone. The fortress world itself tried to resist. Its great shields flared, glowing bright under the human assault. For a brief moment, the aliens cheered. Their weapons cannot break us. Then the Terrans changed tactics. From the flagship, a single command was given. Focus fire. Dozens of human ships turned their weapons on one point of the shield. Blow after blow hammered the same spot. The shield screamed. And then it shattered. The humans did not stop. They launched precision strikes at the planet's weapons, silencing one defense system after another. The fortress world that was said to be unbreakable fell in less than a day. Across the galaxy, shockwaves spread. The first counterstrike was not just a victory, it was a message. The Terrans had returned to war, and no fortress, no fleet, no empire could withstand them. The survivors spoke in whispers. They do not fight like us. They do not fight for power. They fight to end you. The empire's pride began to crack. Their commanders shouted at each other, demanding explanations. How could they strike so fast? How did they build so many ships? Why did we not see this coming? But the truth was already clear. The humans had waited. They had prepared in silence. And when they finally struck, they struck with fury. One alien admiral tried to rally his men after the fortress world's fall. He broadcast to his fleet, "Do not fear them. They are only flesh and bone. Break their ships and Earth will burn." But even as he spoke, his fleet was ambushed. Terran ships emerged from the shadows, cutting through his lines. Within an hour, the admiral's flagship was burning. His last words were drowned in static as his ship broke apart. The galaxy now understood. This was not a war of conquest for the Terrans. It was judgment. They did not leave banners behind. They did not enslave planets. They destroyed only the weapons of the Empire, the fleets, the fortresses. They left the civilians alive, untouched. And this made the aliens even more afraid. Because the humans were not fighting for territory. They were not fighting for glory. They were fighting to end the war completely. And they would not stop. On Earth, the generals watched the reports come in. Victory after victory. World after world. The human fleets were unstoppable. One general spoke quietly. "This is only the beginning. They thought we were weak. They will soon learn how wrong they were." And across the stars, the whisper grew stronger. "Humans never begin wars. But we always end them." The galaxy had gone silent. Every empire, every council, every throne room was whispering the same thing. The Terrans had returned to war. The fall of the fortress world spread like wildfire. Images of the shattered defenses, of alien fleets burning in space, played across 1,000 systems. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy looked at Earth with fear. In the chambers of distant empires, leaders argued. Some said, "Strike them now. If we unite, perhaps we can stop them." But their voices trembled as they spoke. Others whispered, "No, do not stand against them. If we remain quiet, maybe they will not come for us." But deep inside, they all knew the truth. Once humans were forced into war, they did not stop. Not until the enemy was broken. Merchants refused to travel near Terran space. Scouts vanished in the dark. Pirates who once raided human colonies now avoided them completely. It was as if an invisible fire had spread across the stars. Everyone felt it, the fear. In the Empire's capital, the rulers raged. Their voices thundered in the halls. "How dare they challenge us? We are the greatest power in the galaxy. We will crush them." But their bravado could not hide the truth. Reports flooded in, fleets lost, worlds falling, generals killed. The Empire was bleeding, and nothing stopped it. One alien commander stood before the Emperor himself. His armor was cracked, his voice shaken. He bowed and said, "Forgive me, my lord. We fought them with all our strength. But they do not fight like us. They do not fight for glory. They fight to end us." The Emperor struck him down in rage. But his words echoed in the chamber. Even the Emperor felt the weight of them. Far across the stars, neutral species watched carefully. They remembered the human diplomat's words in the council chamber. "You think silence is weakness. But silence is patience." Now they understood. The patience was over. The storm had arrived. Ordinary aliens whispered in fear. In markets, in ships, in crowded stations, the same stories were told. They move without sound. Their fleets are black as night. They strike once, and an empire falls. They are not like us. They fight like predators, calm, cold, and unstoppable. Some even began to pray. Not to their gods, but to the humans, begging the Terrans to spare them. But the humans spared no thought for fear or prayers. On Earth, in their hidden command centers, the generals looked at the map of the galaxy. Red marks of every battle. Lines of every alien fleet. Slowly, the map began to change. The red faded, replaced by Terran black. The generals did not celebrate. There were no cheers, no songs of victory. One of them simply said, "We will end this war. Nothing else matters." Another replied, "They wanted to see our strength. They will see it. But they will not enjoy it." Meanwhile, the Empire prepared for its last stand. Its rulers sent out desperate calls for allies. But few answered. Many who once mocked the Terrans now refused to fight them. One alien leader said, We will not fight Earth. We will not join the Empire. We do not want to be remembered as their enemies. And so, the Empire stood alone. The fear spread even to their soldiers. Young recruits whispered to each other before battles. Do you think we will face them today? I heard they never miss. I heard they do not take prisoners. Even before the Terrans arrived, the Empire was breaking apart from within. The galaxy now saw a simple truth. Humans were not conquerors. They did not want thrones, or crowns, or riches. They wanted one thing only: the end of the war. And that made them unstoppable. A final whisper echoed through the stars. It began as rumor, but soon every world repeated it like a warning. Humans never begin wars, but they always end them. The Empire was dying. World after world had fallen. Fleet after fleet had been erased. The Terran Armada moved like a storm across the stars, leaving silence behind. But the Empire was not finished, not yet. In their capital system, the rulers gave one final command: gather every ship, every weapon, every soldier. The order spread across 1,000 worlds. Old warships were pulled from their docks. New recruits were dragged from their homes. Even broken veterans were forced back into the fight. The Empire promised its people, "This will be our triumph. This will be the battle that saves us." They called it the last stand. Soon, the skies above the capital burned with light. 1,000,000 ships gathered, armadas stretching from horizon to horizon. Their engines glowed like stars. Their weapons shimmered in the dark. The Empire's admirals stood proud. "Let the Terrans come," they said. "They cannot defeat such power." But deep inside, they were afraid. Because numbers alone had never stopped the Terrans before. The day came. The Terran Armada arrived. Not quietly this time. Not hidden in shadows. But openly, boldly, like predators showing their teeth. The black ships poured into the system. Thousands of them. Their engines glowed red, their weapons ready. At the center stood the flagship Judgment, its shadow stretching across the stars. The galaxy held its breath. The first clash shook the void. The Empire unleashed everything. Missiles. Cannons. Energy beams. The sky turned white with fire. For a moment, the stars themselves seemed to vanish. But the Terrans did not falter. They advanced through the storm. Their shields burned, their hulls shook, but still they moved forward. Silent. Cold. Relentless. Then the Armada struck back. It was like watching death itself descend. Terran weapons ripped through enemy lines. Alien ships exploded in waves of fire. The 1,000,000-ship fleet began to collapse, piece by piece, under the precision of Earth's fury. The battle raged for hours. Both sides poured everything into the fight. The Empire screamed, desperate to survive. The Terrans did not scream. They spoke only in orders, their voices calm, steady, unshaken. Target acquired. Fire. Sector clear. Advance. Enemy fleet breaking. Press forward. It was not a war cry. It was an execution. On the bridge of the flagship, the human general stood silent. His face was like stone. He watched as alien ships died one by one. When an officer asked for new orders, the general simply said, "End it." And so they did. By the time the sun rose over the capital world, the Empire's Grand Armada was gone. Millions of ships, burning wrecks drifting through space. The once proud defenders reduced to ash. The capital itself lay vulnerable. Its people watched the Black Fleet above their skies and trembled. But the Terrans did not strike the cities. They did not kill civilians. They destroyed only the weapons, the fleets, the command centers. The message was clear. We did not come to conquer you. We came to end you. In the ruins of his throne room, the Emperor screamed in rage. His advisors begged him to flee. But he knew it was over. The Terrans would not stop. Not until his empire was dust. The galaxy looked on in silence. The last stand of the Empire was meant to be a symbol of strength. Instead, it became a warning. No power. No army. No empire could survive when humanity was forced into war. And the aliens finally understood the words they once laughed at. Humans never begin wars. But we always end them. The war was over. The Empire's fleets were gone, scattered like dust across the stars. Its worlds lay silent, its armies broken. The once mighty throne of the Emperor stood empty. The galaxy had watched every moment. From the first battle, to the burning of fortresses, to the last stand itself. And now, all that remained was silence. In that silence, the Terran Armada gathered. Their black ships hung like shadows above the ruined capital. No songs of victory. No cheers. Only the hum of engines, steady and calm. The galaxy expected conquest. They thought humans would take the throne, enslave the defeated, and demand tribute. That was how empires ended wars. But humans were not an empire. They wanted nothing but the end. On the central world, a transmission began. It was carried across every channel, every system, every ship. Every corner of the galaxy heard the same voice. A human general stood before the camera. His face was calm, his eyes cold, his voice like stone. "You called us weak," he said. "You called us slow. You called us silent. And so you attacked us." The galaxy listened in silence. "You thought our silence meant fear. You thought our patience meant weakness. But now you have learned the truth. We do not begin wars. But when you force us to fight, we do not stop until the war is finished." The words spread like fire. Alien rulers sat frozen on their thrones. Soldiers shook as they heard them. Civilians whispered them again and again, until they became legend. The general continued. "We do not want your crowns. We do not want your worlds. We do not want your people. We wanted only peace. You broke it. And now, you see what happens when peace is broken." Across the galaxy, silence grew heavier. No empire dared to answer. No ruler dared to argue. Because they all knew what came next if they challenged Earth. The general's voice grew colder. "Let this be remembered. We are human. We build. We trade. We live. But if you strike us, if you take from us, if you burn our homes, we will rise. We will fight. And we will end it." On the capital world, the defeated people bowed their heads. Some wept in shame. Others in relief. For though they had lost everything, they were alive. Because the Terrans had chosen to end only the war, not the innocents. When the transmission ended, the Armada moved. The black ships turned away from the ruined capital. One by one, they jumped back into the void. No looting. No colonizing. No flag planted on foreign soil. The humans left only silence behind. But that silence was not empty. It was filled with memory. With fear. With respect. Because now the galaxy understood. The words spoken long ago, the words once mocked and ignored, were no longer just a saying. They were law. Humans never begin wars. But we always end them. From that day on, no council ever mocked Earth. No empire dared to strike its borders. Even pirates, smugglers, and raiders whispered the warning before they set course. Do not cross Terran space. Do not test their patience. Because if they come, they will come for the last time. And so, the war ended. The galaxy was forever changed. Not by conquest. Not by crowns. But by the silent, relentless truth of humanity. The truth that every alien child would be taught, for centuries to come. Humans never begin wars. But they always end them.